Good afternoon. I'm Costa Officer Grade 5 Xing Hui, and I'll be giving a ranks and appointments lecture today. By the end of this, you should be able to identify and differentiate the various ranks and insignias in St. John Brigade, have a general awareness of organizational structure of St. John Brigade, understand the general roles and responsibilities of district appointments, explain why and how do we pay compliments. First, we'll start off with ranks and insignias. A rank is a position in the structure of the St. John Brigade, for example, your corporal, your sergeant, your staff sergeant. And an insignia is a distinguishing badge or emblem which represents the rank. So for this slide is the types of insignias that you'll see. So first, for the chevrons, it's probably the most common type of insignia you'll see as a cadet, because all of your ranks are made of chevrons. Following on, we have the pip, the crest, the cross stretchers with laurels, and the cross stretchers without laurels. These are the insignias that will be on the ranks of a commissioned officer. This slide shows the ranks and the hierarchy in increasing seniority. So first you have the private, the lance corporal, the corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant, and senior staff sergeant. These are the ranks achievable by cadets and adult members. Following which, we have ranks. We have the warrant officer ranks. So we have warrant officer grade 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next, we have the ranks of the commissioned officers. These are the ranks of the more junior officers. So we have the staff officer grade 6 until staff officer grade 1. Following which, we have the super grade 5 to super grade 1. These are ranks that you will see less often as a cadet because most of the people holding these ranks will be working in the HQ or like with the brigade. So now we have a short quiz time. So I'll flash this screen for about 10 to 20 seconds, and on your own, list the following ranks out in increasing seniority. So the following is the answer. The first rank is the senior staff sergeant rank, which is of lower seniority because it is a cadet rank, while the rest are warrant and officer ranks. Next, we have the warrant officer rank. There's a warrant officer grade 1. It's of a higher seniority than the staff sergeant rank, but a lower seniority than the next two ranks because warrant officers are not commissioned officers. The following ranks are staff officer grade 1 and super grade 4 respectively. Moving on to the brigade organizational structure and appointments. So an appointment is an assigned job or position to someone. So for example, to contextualize it, maybe you're a sergeant in your corps, but you're assigned the role as maybe the first aid head or the food drill department head. So the brigade is divided into 3 levels: the national headquarters, districts, and corps. So the following is the brigade organizational structure. I'll give you about 10 seconds, or you may pause the screen to take a read and look at what each department has. The following are the districts. You may be able to spot your own school inside. This is the district organizational structure. So it's spearheaded by your district commissioner, and we have the various wings inside. So for such, ANCO and BNCO are organized and conducted by the leadership department. Moving on, I'll be briefly telling you guys about the district appointments. So the district commissioner is in charge of the overall management of the district and an advisor for all district events. He or she will be the approving authority for purchases made through the district account and the authority for appointments, promotions, and nominations within the district. The district superintendent for administration will oversee the administration and finance and logistic wings. He or she will also assess the district commissioner in the overall management of the district. Whereas the district superintendent for operations will oversee the operations and training wings. So such as like your food due department, your first aid department. He or she will assist the district commissioner in the overall management of the district and represent the district for national and brigade activities. The district medical officer and the district nursing officer are as such. They oversee the first aid and life support standards or the home nursing standards respectively. They will be the ones who nominate assessors for your first aid and food due competition. The district sergeant major will oversee the regimentation and discipline in the district. He or she will also manage the parades and ceremonies in the district. So next we have the head of the wings. So we have the operations wing, the head training wing. You can take a read. So for subsequent slides, you'll also be about the roles and responsibilities of each head of the respective wings. So for head life support, head first aid, for example, when there's an update in the first aid manual or for whatever skills or procedures, they'll be the ones assessing it and updating the district and corps respectively. So for wings like the head public duty, head logistics, for head PD, they'll be the one managing the admin side and also like the public duty records for individuals in your corps. And they'll be the one sourcing and coordinating external public duties. So for example, when you have public duties, for example, Gardens by the Bay for Christmas Wonderland, or maybe for Good Friday services at churches, they are the ones coordinating and sourcing for this availability of these public duties. Next, we have the head finance. Head manpower and head information technology. Head admin and development, district warrant officer. Next, we'll be moving on to the paying of compliments. Paying of compliments is a greeting between two members of groups of the brigade. It's a gesture towards a significant symbol or ceremony, such as like your Singapore flag during the national anthem. And we pay compliments it's a way of showing mutual respect between the two members or groups. We show respect towards significant symbols or ceremonies too. In the case of a symbol or ceremony, paying of compliments should be done by every member of the brigade present. So in the case of two members or groups, the ones paying compliment will be done by the member of lower seniority between the two groups or the member. And in return, the other member or group who receives the compliment should return the compliment. You should pay compliment during the following scenarios. Can take a read. So there'll be a few basic scenarios, such as when you meet a commission officer, when you meet your core officers in school, or when you meet maybe another officer whom you are not sure of, but you see his rank, you know that he's a commission officer. So you pay compliments to him or her when you meet them, maybe in HQ. You also pay compliments during flag raising, lowering, or the playing of Singapore's national anthem as a form of respect. There are rare cases where you have to pay compliments, such as during a state or central funeral, when the gun carriage passes your immediate front, or during the playing of anthems of other countries. But however, there are scenarios where you should not pay compliments because it is inappropriate. As such, as you can tell, most of the scenarios you don't pay compliments during are because it is very inconvenient or is an inappropriate situation for you to pay compliments. The list is non-exhaustive and it is up to your own discretion when you should and should not pay compliments. So the following is a procedure of paying compliments to significant symbols or ceremonies. So generally, the sequence to paying compliments is quite standard. So if you're alone, you'll just stand at attention and pay compliments in appropriate ways. So for example, if you happen to be walking and you see the national flag maybe lowering during evening time, you can salute the flag if you are in proper attire and headdress. However, if you are part of a ceremony or parade as an audience or participant, you can take instructions from the masters of ceremony or from your parade commander. Next will be paying compliments to another member of the brigade. If you are alone, you simply just stand at attention, greet the intended receiver in the appropriate ways, and after they have returned your compliments, you return to other forms of movement. This will depend on your attire and also like the ranks of the other member, which I will cover later on in the lecture. However, if you are in a group, you simply call the group to cease movement or tiam, and then any individual in the group, basically one representative, will pay compliments to the intended receiver on behalf of the group. So once the receiver has returned your compliments, you may call the group to return to other forms of movement, basically like sitting at ease. To a group of members of the brigade, essentially the idea or the way you pay compliments will still be the same as before, just that instead of greeting the entire group of members, you pay compliments to the member of the highest seniority based on the order of precedence. So I will also go through what order of precedence is later on. So just take a read first. So the order of precedence is a hierarchy which determines the seniority of a member in the brigade. So essentially, the higher the member is on the order of precedence, the higher his or her seniority. So this is how you determine among a group of people who is the one you should be greeting, because you can't be greeting the whole group together one by one. So we determine the hierarchy of the person first through the appointment, then the rank, the length of service, and then the date of appointment. So essentially, if you know that member A is of a higher appointment than member B, then you will then pay compliments to member A. However, if they are of the same appointment, you'll move on to see whether they have the same rank. You pay compliments to whoever has the higher rank. If they still have the same rank, you go on to see does member A and B have the same length of service. The member with the longer length of service has a highest level of seniority, so that's the person you should greet. In the very rare case where, in a rare occurrence where you meet two members with the same appointment, the same rank, and the same length of service, you'll then see who was appointed this position, or like who was awarded this appointment first. Whoever has an earlier date of appointment has a higher level of seniority. But usually you will not be in such situations because typically most members you meet will probably have like different appointments or different ranks. So next I'll be moving on to how we pay compliments. So you can pay compliments by saluting or by verbal greeting. You should salute in all circumstances which require compliments to be paid, and also when you are wearing headdress. This is something you need to take note of because you cannot pay compliments when you are not wearing a headdress. So when you're alone, you stand and you steady yourself, and then you execute a salute towards the intended receiver of your salute. And the thing to take note is that you can only cut down your hand after the receiver has returned your salute. If you're in a group, it will be the exact same procedure, just that the representative will first diam the group to seize their movements, and then proceed to pay compliments. So for verbal greeting is quite straightforward. It should be done in all circumstances which require compliments to be paid, except towards symbols or ceremonies. It's pretty straightforward. You should greet other members verbally by following the procedures of paying of compliments mentioned before. If you are still unsure, you can go back to the previous slides to read. So if you're in a situation where you have to execute a salute, so for example, when you're in a full uniform with your headdress, you first salute the intended receiver and immediately verbally greet them by saying maybe good morning sir, good morning ma'am. And then after the receiver has greeted you back or like has cut down their salute, then you'll cut down your salute and carry on. So for verbal greeting, appropriate forms of address has to be used. So you can take a read of the forms of address. It is quite common and you should know most of them by now. So for commissioned officers, you greet them as sir or ma'am. For warrant officers, you greet them as Encik or Cik. For senior staff, sergeant, senior staff. And one thing to take note is for both your corporal and your lance corporal, you'll greet them as corporal. So now I'll be moving on to the learning summary. So as with all uniform groups, a rank denotes a member's position within the hierarchy of the brigade, and this is represented by various insignias. So the brigade membership consists of commissioned officers, warrant officers, adult members, and cadet members. The brigade is divided into 3 levels, namely the national headquarters, districts, and corps. Paying of compliments is to show respect towards a senior brigade member or a significant symbol or ceremony. And the seniority is based on the order of precedence. So we'll start by looking at the appointment. The one with the higher appointment is the one that you should be greeting in a group of members. If they have the same appointment, you'll then look at their rank. And if they still have the same rank, you'll then move on to look at their length of service and the date of appointment. Compliments can be paid through saluting or verbal greeting. So these are the 2 ways that compliments can be paid. This depends on the circumstances which requires compliments to be paid. So if your headdress is worn, you should be saluting the other person. So now we'll move on to quiz. So this is the first scenario. Corporal Sean is running in a park over the weekend and sees an officer, Costa Officer Lucas. Should he stop running to pay compliments to the officer? So we can pause at this point to think through the questions, because after this I'll be showing the answer. So the answer is no, because it is a public place and Corporal Sean is running. So it is both an inappropriate place to be paying compliments to the officer, and it's also inconvenient for Corporal Sean to be greeting because he is currently running. So there's no need to pay compliments. However, if you want to stop running, and if Corporal Sean wants to stop running and just acknowledge the officer's presence, it is completely fine to do so. But there's no need to pay compliments formally. So this is the next question. Corporal Tina and the squad mates sees a group of officers walking towards them. How should they pay compliments to the group of officers? So the answer is that one representative is to tiam the squad and go forward to pay compliments to the officer of the higher seniority. I know in many corps we have the practice of greeting the officers together as a squad or like as a corps. However, the standardized and correct way of doing so is to have one representative to tiam the entire squad. Anyone in the group can do it. And then one representative is to go forward to pay the appropriate compliments to the officer of the higher seniority. So in this case, instead of greeting, example, you have two sirs coming back to your corps and your squad is probably like in a lesson. You only greet the sir with a higher seniority instead of greeting, oh, good afternoon, sirs. The correct way is just to greet the officer with the higher seniority. So the following is just a mind map. You can pause and screenshot it if you find it helpful. So essentially, this covers majority of the content that I have went through today and things to take note. I've come to the end of my lecture, and do use this following link to access the quiz. This quiz covers most of the content that I have went through, and it is largely how the theory test will be like. So it will really be of great help to you if you were to finish doing the quiz. It also has explanations for both correct and wrong answers. If you have any more queries or like questions after doing the quiz and reading the explanations, you can clarify them during the Q&A session. Okay, thank you.